Hey team, Ben here with this week's Sunday school lesson. It is a little bit off the grid, outside the box. This week I was meeting with the athletic director at Phoenixville High School. We actually met in the football locker room. Some of you know that last year I was involved with the football team as the character coach, which is a term that we completely made up. And it was just dealing with getting alongside those players in terms of what's in their mind and their heart and their soul and their being, so that they can play football to the best of their abilities. Great opportunity. Anyway, you can pray for that this year as there's no football. But as we were meeting, on the table beside the football coach was this thing. Now I want you to take a minute and tell me if you know what this is. Okay, talk to your parents or your friends or just in your mind. I'll give you another look at what it is. It does that. So did you know what it is? Well, those of you who are football fans, you'll often see the quarterback use one of these things. On here is written different plays. I'm not sure if you can see those or not, but each side has different plays on it. And some of the plays that this Phoenixville football player quarterback had on there was I Pro Right 54 boot, Pro Left Weak 23 ISO, Power I Left belly keep. And those actually mean something to the players. And so on the football field, the quarterback will come out and call the play. He'll direct his team in a way such as to win. So obviously he wants to win, and every team needs a leader. And on the field, that leader would either be the coach or the quarterback. So the quarterback will call out one of these plays, and it tells everyone what to do so they're together and they can hopefully win the game. And if you're not following the plays, you will run a pattern and the quarterback will throw to where you're supposed to be. And if you don't follow the play, it will be interception, a fumble, an error, something along those lines, because you didn't listen to who you should have on the football field. Now, this got me thinking, who do you listen to? Who calls your plays? Do you have one of these on your arm, on your mind, that is related to God? Is God calling the plays? In today's culture, a lot of different things can call the plays. You might let the internet do that for you. You might let the news do that for you. CNN, Fox, ABC, NBC, who knows? You might let Facebook call the plays. What should you wear? Who should you be friends with? Who should you date? They're calling the plays for you. And they're not a good place to go for the play calling, by the way. When we read the Bible, we see God throughout the text, from Genesis to Revelation, call the plays. And sometimes he calls an audible when things aren't looking good. And we saw many times in the Bible, people like prophets would go to the Lord and try to get him to call an audible to save his people, even if one person was faithful. And God did do that in the Bible. But one time I wanted to highlight here, just in Exodus 12, I'm going to read for you a section when God calls the play. He tells people exactly what to do, and those that chose not to listen, they messed it up, and there were severe penalties. So here we are. We're in Exodus chapter 12. I'm going to read verses 11 through to 13. Here we go. Exodus 12, chapter 12, verse 11. These are your instructions. These are the plays for eating this meal. This is about the Passover. Be fully dressed. Wear your sandals. Carry your walking stick in your hand. Eat the meal with urgency, for this is the Lord's Passover. On that night, I will pass through the land of Egypt. By the way, side note, this is the Lord. This is an angel passing through Egypt, but he's not an angel like most people have them in their mind. And most times when someone like Disney draws angels, this angel is very different. So it says this, I'll pass through the land of Egypt and strike down every firstborn son and firstborn male animal of the land of Egypt. I will execute judgment against all the gods of Egypt, for I am the Lord. So this angel is actually bringing death, but it's not a demon. It's not from Satan. It's from God. And God's saying, look, these are the instructions. And in order to win, in order to live, in order to be safe, just follow the play that I'm calling. I'm calling the play. And on that night, I'm coming through, and I will kill the firstborn son and the firstborn male animal in the land of Egypt. But, it says in verse 13, he's calling the play, but Blood on your doorposts will serve as a sign, marking the houses where you are staying. And he's referring to people who listen to God. He's saying, so when you put the blood on your doorpost, that tells the angel that this is a sign of where my people, those that listen to me, those that let me call the play, are in that house. And guys, when I think about this as a guy here in 2020, as a father who owns a house, I think of a lot of different reasons why you wouldn't put blood on your doorpost. And one of them is it's weird. God is asking them to do something weird. Everybody wasn't putting blood on their doorpost. Yet here we see God saying, this is really important. Put blood on your doorposts. So living in those times, you could hear God say that. You could hear him clearly put the blood on the doorpost. And they may have said, I'm not doing it. It's just weird. No one else is doing it. You might say, oh, well, what if it stains my doorpost? I don't want to have a stain on my doorpost. What if you didn't believe God? You heard him, but you're like, nah, he was just meant like figuratively speaking, to put the blood on the doorpost. And then you didn't let God call the play for what you did. And then you really would regret it. There are a lot of reasons why you wouldn't follow God even today, when God says for you to do things and I to do things that aren't really cool or accepted, or what other people are doing in terms of what music we're supposed to listen to, how we're supposed to treat people of minorities or people that are being persecuted, how we respond to the law, even how we study or how we use the internet or how we talk to our parents. God does call the play in a lot of these areas, and there are a lot of different reasons why you might not want to listen to his play, but it's so important, you guys, that we do listen to the Lord when he calls the play. So it says this, when I see the blood, I will pass over you. That's the Passover. So the mark was the blood, and God's saying the angel of death will pass over you if you've got the blood on your doorpost. This plague of death will not touch you when I strike the land of Egypt. So for me, when I relate that to my football play calling band here, it's like God's in the huddle and he's going, okay, we've got a pro left weak 53 zone on two. And those that are on his team, they hear him, they hear the call, they know the play, they did the blood, they ran the routes that God was saying to run, and they were preserved. They were kept safe. We saw it again when Moses split the Red Sea. God just said, go to the Red Sea, and what he did was a miracle, and you have to follow him through it. It's throughout the Bible, you guys. God calls plays, and it's up to us to listen. Now, whether you listen or not is up to you. You're on God's team. If you're watching this video, you're going to Grace Valley Fellowship, you're coming to Sunday school, you're in the huddle. And if you're in the huddle and God's calling the plays for your life, your job is to listen and to run that route, to do the things that the Lord says to do, which we talk about most weeks here in Sunday school. Now, you can disobey, as most of you know. You can do whatever you want because God values free will, but there are penalties that come with that. Just like on the football field, you can run wherever you want. You can run backwards, you can run your own darn route for all you care, but you won't get the ball. You won't score a touchdown. Your team won't win. You might even get hit by a big defensive lineman because you're in the wrong spot. And so it's the same with life, guys. When God calls the play, we've got to listen. We got to get in the huddle. And that's what many of you are doing right now by coming to church and talking to your parents. You're in the huddle. And when that play gets called, when you get advice that is godly, I suggest you listen. It's really for your best interest, for my best interest. I know I listen to God as he calls the plays for my family. That's why we're even in America, because God called that play. And I promise you guys, you won't regret it if you listen to the plays that God calls. God bless you guys. Listen to that play calling this week. Blue 42 Hut.